Hey guys, welcome back. It's Chris. Happy Monday. I know I'm finally on a set schedule. So if you caught my live stream last week on the second channel, I talk a little bit about uploading videos on a set schedule, which I've never done before. I've always just posted whenever they were ready to post. So I'm going to start doing videos every Monday and Thursday here on the Vegan Zombie channel. And if you're not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. And on my second channel, the Vegan Zombie 2, I'll be posting the live stream every Wednesday, and anything else I feel like posting, I'll just randomly post on that channel. So the big question that everybody's been asking me for the past few years is sugar. Is it vegan? A lot of people don't even know that this is a thing to even worry about. And I know I've been telling you guys that I'm going to put this video out for a long time, and I actually filmed it once, but then I didn't like how it came out. I think there was a big long piece of hair hanging from my chin when I was talking, and it was really distracting, and I just decided not to upload it. But anyways, here it is. So sugar has to go from point A to point B, the sugar cane to the actual sugar crystals. And the way that they do that is they get the sugar cane and they crush it and tear it apart, and then they heat it up, and then they let it cool down, and then you have sugar crystals. And then those crystals go through a refining process that may or may not be vegan friendly. The filtration process that's not vegan friendly is a bone char. And bone char is exactly what it sounds like. It's cow bones that have been heated up to high temperatures and turned into a charcoal. And then they become a filter for the sugar. And the sugar would go through a filtration process, and it would kind of bleach it out and turn it white. And then you have your typical table sugar. And it does come in contact with the bone char. The sugars actually touch the bone char, which is kind of gross. And then you have your sugar. But just to clarify, because some people think that there's bone char in their sugar, there's no actual bone char. There's actually no animal products whatsoever in sugar that is even processed through bone char. It is completely free of animal products. It's just the process that it went through to bleach out the impurities. And the alternative to this is just to not bleach your sugar at all, and then you have like raw sugar, organic sugar, and it's a little bit darker. There's also filters that are carbon-based filters. Those are a little bit more expensive to use for companies, and not too much, but a lot of companies are kind of switching over to those nowadays. There still are some older companies that do use bone char because that was a standard practice for over the last 100 years or so. And it's really cheap. The next question is, how do you find out if your sugar was processed through bone char or not? There's a few different ways you can find out. One, you can actually call the company that is in question and find out if the sugar that they use has been processed through bone char or not. Sometimes you'll get an answer, sometimes you won't. Most of the time I do get an answer from that. Sometimes companies spot buy their sugar. So you might have something like Oreos or even like Little Secrets candies, and they spot buy their sugar, which means they buy whatever sugar is cheapest at the time on the market, and it may or may not be processed through bone char, so you never really know. So if you're looking to stay away from bone char, you might want to stay away from products like that. The other thing you can look at is if it's organic sugar, it's never processed through bone char. The third way you can find out is if it's beet sugar, it's not processed through bone char. And a specific case with beet sugar is I looked into the vegan Girl Scout cookies a couple years ago, and a product that is otherwise vegan, I next look into the sugar and I find out, is the sugar processed through bone char or not? And sure enough, I found out that the sugar for the Girl Scout cookies was actually beet sugar. So the sugar was all good and it wasn't processed through bone char. Now, you might choose to not worry about this if you're just going vegan and you think it's too much to look into and makes things too hard. It's perfectly fine. I know that when I first went vegan, I didn't really know about this, and I probably ate a lot of sugar that was processed through bone char. And sometimes even now I might not knowingly eat something that was processed through bone char. But I always try to look into it and find out, is my sugar processed through bone char or not? And personally, I like to stay away from it. I don't necessarily think that somebody is not vegan because they eat sugar that was processed through bone char. I have a lot of vegan friends that still eat sugar that was processed through bone char, because if you really look into it, I mean, you can make a lot of arguments in that way. You could say, well, the sugar doesn't have any animal ingredients in it. And I just want to say this, for you guys so you know everything out there so you can make your own decision. You could say that the sugar was processed through bone char, right? But there's actually no animal products in the sugar. Okay, great. But you're eating vegetables, and we don't know, like maybe some of the workers that got those vegetables and fruits and stuff from point A to point B, maybe they were wearing leather gloves and they touched your vegetables. There's not really too much of a difference there, because your food right there touched something that wasn't vegan, but so did the sugar. And there's actually no bone char in the sugar. And there's a lot of other scenarios you could come into play with doing this. You know, breathing air in a building that was ventilated through air filters. Most air filters are not vegan, so you're breathing the air that touched something that wasn't vegan. I mean, you can go on and on about this. Personally, I like to take it a step further and not, if I know that something was processed through bone char, I try to stay away from it, just because it's not hard to do. There's a lot of sugar out there that's vegan. There's a lot of different brands out there that are vegan. Wholesome Sweeteners, Florida Crystal, Sugar in the Raw. I know Aldi has one that actually says bone char free. So does the Dollar Tree, and a lot of other places that you go to. I know I did a video at Price Chopper and Tops. Wegmans has a lot of sugar that's bone char free. So a lot of companies these days are actually putting that label on it saying either vegan certified sugar or bone char free. So you can easily choose a sugar that is cruelty free. The other thing is if you are buying sugar that is processed through bone char, you know, albeit it is, you know, there's no animal products in it, I keep saying that, but you are in a way kind of supporting the process they use. If you're paying for that, you know, a certain percentage of that is going to supply them with more bone char filters. So that does play a role in there. They are really phasing these things out as of today. I know one of the biggest sugar companies, at least here in the United States, is Domino's. That's a sugar that everybody knows. It's like everywhere. And surprisingly, they have 5 factories that are 5 facilities around the United States. And 3 of them now are all bone char free. If you see a Domino's sugar, all you have to do is look at where it was processed from, where it was distributed from. And there's one in New York, there's one in, I believe, in Baltimore, and then Florida. Those 3 are all bone char free. These are all vegan sugars. So everything you buy there, like the sugar, whether it's powdered sugar, crystal sugar, whatever, it is all vegan friendly. The ones you have to watch out for are in California and Louisiana. It is processed through bone char, and apparently they are going to eventually phase that out as well. I just don't know when, and they haven't done it as of right now, as far as I know. So I hope that helps you guys make a more informative decision. You guys can obviously choose whatever you guys want to do. If it's easier just to eat whatever sugar and not worry about it, that's completely fine. If you're really worried about how your food is made and processed, then you might want to look into sugar that is bone char free, and always choose to pick a sugar that was not processed through bone char when you go shopping at the store. So I hope you guys liked the video. Give me a thumbs up if you did. Leave a comment below. And you can also support my channel by purchasing one of my t-shirts, like the one I'm wearing right here. I actually print these myself in my garage and I send them out to you. And all sales directly support my channel so I can make more videos like this. Don't forget to subscribe, survive, watch out for zombies, and I'll see you guys next time.